Today, it's all about the #1 selling foundation versus its dupe. We're talking about the Estee Lauder, their Double Wear Stay in Place makeup retails for $43 versus the L'Oreal, their Pro Matte Infallible Foundation. This one retails for $12.99. So we'll do 1-to-1. We'll do the Estee Lauder on the left side, and we'll do the Infallible Pro L'Oreal on the right side. We're gonna do all the same products for each side, same concealer, same blush, bronzer, everything. We'll see how everything applies, and then of course, the wear time. I'm hoping to get at least 12 to 14 hours wear out of this. Perfect time to test that foundation because I have quite a bit of breakouts happening. I wanna see how well it's going to cover since both of these are very similar. So the Double Wear Stay in Place foundation, this one is a medium to full coverage. It has a natural to like a semi-matte finish. They have over 55 shades to choose from. They have 3 undertones. They have a cool, neutral, and then a warm undertone. So a lot of people can find their perfect shade match. Next, they have a 24-hour wear time, 24-hour non-creasing. It's waterproof, it's sweat and humidity resistant, it's transfer resistant, it controls oil all day long. There's no caking, no settling into fine lines and or pores, no streaking, and it won't clog your pores, which, I mean, it has a lot of claims for this little formula right here. That's probably why it's the #1 selling foundation. This little bad boy right here also has claims for up to 24-hour wear time. It's waterproof, it's transfer resistant, it's sweat resistant, and the color stays true the entire time. It has a matte finish and also has a medium to high coverage depending how much you build it up. Let's begin with the Estee Lauder, and the one thing I will say, you can purchase a separate pump for each shade that you wear. Each pump is an extra $10, so the full foundation will be a total of $53 instead of $43. So keep that in mind. Just shaking these up because I do have 2 colors. I have one C0, which is Shell, and then one N1 Ivory Nude. I usually like to mix the 2 together. So it's not too liquidy once you kind of start blending in. It is definitely a little bit more thick. We'll see if I need to fix the color. I'll take a couple of spots and then we're gonna start using a dampened sponge, and it's not soaking wet, it's just nice and damp. I would say the reason I like to apply this with a sponge is because it is a little more on the matte side, and I feel like it blends a little bit easier with a sponge. Just my personal preference. But you can use a foundation brush, you can use your fingers, but I think it's just all personal preference. With a brush, you'll get a lot more of a full coverage. With a sponge, it's gonna be a little bit more sheer. But you can see how easy it's blending out. It's having no issues, and you can work a little at a time to create your desired coverage. And the shade is actually quite nice. It's not too yellow, it's not too cool, it's not too warm. All right, let's go back over this area right here and see if we can create a little bit more coverage. This foundation is just so easy to blend out. And the way it sits on your skin, it's really, really pretty. For the L'Oreal, it comes in a little squeezy tube, which is awesome. And again, I do have to mix my shades because there's not that many shades to choose from. I believe there's a little over 20 shades with the L'Oreal. So let's start off first with 101 Classic Ivory, and then we'll add in 102, which is Shell Beige. And I feel like they have a similar consistency, like thick. Estee Lauder definitely does come out a little bit more liquidy, and it's a little more shakeable versus this. Yes, you can still shake it, but it's a little more thick. They do have that similar consistency. And I'm gonna do the same thing to see how well this looks for a color match. And I'm using also the same exact sponge, but just another one. This is the Estee Lauder. This is the L'Oreal. Okay, it looks like a good shade. And you can see right away it does blend, but because it's a little bit more of a thicker consistency, you kind of do have to work a little bit harder. Just gonna do the exact same thing as I did with the Estee Lauder, just picking up a little bit more coverage as I need. That looks like a very similar shade. I did a pretty good job. Hopefully it doesn't oxidize. I find that with this one, with the Infallible, it does set a little bit faster than the Estee Lauder. With the Estee Lauder, I can work a little bit more and really work that into my skin versus this Infallible Pro. You do have to work with it in smaller areas. The L'Oreal does have a little bit more of a matte finish, but as the Estee Lauder does set, it does become a true natural to a demi-matte finish as well. I feel like the L'Oreal, you can kind of see it right away, even with the sponge. Okay, I do have to say one thing now that I did 1-to-1. even though I've used both foundations in the past and I enjoy both for different occasions. I will say that the Estee Lauder, because it's a little bit more liquidy, you do have to use a little bit more product with the dampened sponge versus the Infallible Pro. You don't have to use as much just because it is a little bit more thick of a consistency. But both apply really similar in a way that they spread very easy. Infallible, you do have to work a little bit faster because it does set a little bit faster than the Estee Lauder. They both have a very, very similar finish. A very nice soft demi matte, but I don't look flat. I still have a little bit of shine kind of coming from within, but it looks very even and nice, even toned, not too much redness peeking through. I would say it's a definite true medium to full coverage, depending how much you build up the foundation. All right, let's move on to the eyes. I'm gonna quickly finish the eyes and then we'll come back, check the concealer, all of the base products like the cream contour, the blush, the highlight, everything like that, to see which side looks better and everything else, and then of course the wear time. Concealer, this is the Dior Skin Corrector in shade 1CR. For cream contour, Patrick Ta, this is the lightest shade. That's why I'm not setting the concealer just yet. And I'm taking the Fenty, I believe this is the 125 Her Face brush. And I'm just stamping this on. This product, I still have yet to find a base product that it doesn't work with. It just works with everything. It's so good. We're gonna take some blush, liquid blush by Saie Beauty in Peachy. Again, stamping it to my cheekbones, not really brushing anything on. And before I add any more color, I am going to set my face, just using a little bit of Thrive Cosmetics. Actually, no, I'm gonna use my Kosas. I'm gonna take the same sponge that I used for the foundation, just go into the Kosas, literally like so, and just ever so slightly and gently, just going to set it in areas where I want the makeup to set. Going back to bronzer, just using the same palette, we're just gonna take the powder formula, and this is more to literally just warm up the face, which is so nice. I love that it's just all in one. And then for blush, we're gonna use the Milani in Dolce Pink. I think it's so pretty for spring and summer. You need the slightest amount. Last but not least, a little bit of highlight. This is by MAC, the Skin Finish in Soft and Gentle. Again, I've been kind of using it nonstop since I rediscovered it. Lip, Buxom. This is our PillowPout Creamy Plumping Lip Powder in shade Soft Whisper. Oh, actually I want to highlight the inner corner. Okay, makeup is on and done, and I really wanted to focus on the complexion of my face. Everything applied very similar. If anything, things on this side look a little bit more matte versus the Estee Lauder. It looks a tiny bit more like a soft natural instead of a soft demi matte. I'm really impressed that we could get the color shade really well, and the finish looks literally almost identical. It looks incredible. I'm not gonna set the rest of my face. We will come back after probably like 4 or 5 hours and see how the forehead is looking, how the T-zone is looking, and see if we need to use a little more powder just in the T-zone, but hopefully not. As of right now, the entire face feels very lightweight. It doesn't feel like there is a ton of makeup sitting on the face, because sometimes with these types of foundations, these medium to full coverage that are a little bit more demi matte, they can feel a little tight and a little dry and kind of pulling at the face. I'm really happy that on both sides, different finishes and different powder, different cream and liquid products, they applied extremely similar, and they look very similar and even on both sides. All right, let's go out there day, and I'll be right back with the first update. First update, right here outside, natural light. It's a little bit dark already, but I did want to do an update on my phone, kind of see the natural light happening 4K, so you can see all of that texture. Obviously, I'm looking a little bit shiny right here, but it's not bad. I'm not complaining. I would powder, but I'm kind of liking the natural glow that's happening on my face. The one thing I will say, even Andre was looking up close, it's breaking up a little bit worse towards the Infallible versus the Estee Lauder. Yes, it was cracked, but it's kind of just staying there. I will say both sides feel a tap tight right here around the nose and the mouth area just a little bit. We had early dinner, so I really wanted to see what the face would look like after all the eating, the chewing, the talking, and see if it would crack and break apart more. And it's not bad, but it definitely, I think it looks pretty even on both sides, but it is looking a little bit more cracked on the infallible side, and it's looking very even on the forehead, very even on the cheeks so far. So I think it's wearing very, very even. Estee Lauder, Infallible. Doing the last and final update for Estee Lauder versus L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. Okay, looking up close, obviously you can see lots of pimples. I feel like they're a little bit more exaggerated now. This one is quite red. I feel like it got a little bit red throughout the day, but I don't think it has anything to do with the foundation or anything like that. I'm looking quite oily, a little dewy, extra dewy on the forehead, but I feel like I look pretty even on the entire face. Like this side looks a little oily. This side looks a little oily. I'm honestly shocked at how even they're wearing. I'm honestly kind of blown away. I've never put 1-to-1. I've worn them on their own, but I've never just like put them 1-to-1 to see how close they would be. I think the only difference that I see is it looks a little bit more heavy and cakey with the L'Oreal Infallible, but then again, it wasn't as stretchy as the Estee Lauder, because the Estee Lauder, that one was a little more liquidy, had a little bit more time to set. It didn't set as fast. So that's the only thing I will say the difference with the L'Oreal versus Estee Lauder. The L'Oreal looks a little more heavy, a little more cakey. It didn't blend as well, and it just didn't stretch as well as the Estee Lauder. I'm pretty impressed with how even they're looking 1-to-1. Honestly, they look like the exact same foundation, which says a lot. But in terms of application, longevity, things like that, I will say the Estee Lauder has a tiny bit of a leg up, but the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte is holding up its own. I'm gonna keep saying it. The Infallible Pro Matte is a really great dupe for the Estee Lauder Stay in Place makeup. So, as you can see, this is how it wore on me. I did not powder the forehead at all today, so you definitely, I would say, powder a little bit here and there if you are a little more oily. And you get more oily throughout the day, especially with more of a demi-matte foundation finish. Just like for me personally, I do have to powder throughout the day, or at least take off some of that oil with like blotting sheets or that little roller. This one right here that I have by Revlon, I like to have it on my desk right here, just throughout the day, kind of just sit and take it off, but I didn't do it. I just wanted to see how even both of these would wear on the face, and I'm impressed. I will say that the cheeks still look really bomb. My pores are a little bit exaggerated just because it is a little bit oily right in the T-zone, but even the cracking and the moving of the foundation is honestly not that bad. That tightness has left. It really hit the like high mark around the 5-6 hour when I did the update, and I felt like that tightness around my face, especially right here around the nose and around the mouth, but it's not tight anymore. But for now, you guys, thank you for watching, spending time with me, and I'll see the next one very soon. Bye.